All right, excellent. Welcome to the show. Subscribe, rate, review, tell a friend. We got a great show today. I'm very excited. It's going to be great. You see him in My Cousin Vinny, Friends, Sergeant Bilko. He was the voice of Donatello and the Ninja Turtles. Mitchell Whitfield is going to be here via Zoom. So you know what to do. Subscribe, rate, review, tell a friend, and enjoy Reza Rifts with Mitchell Whitfield. Coming up next.
From Hollywood, California, welcome to Reza Rifts with your host, Keith Reza.
All right, excellent. Technical difficulties settled.
Wow.
Hi, Mitchell. How are you?
You know what? I'm kind of ashamed for a person that makes his living in front of the camera and behind a microphone. The fact that as soon as I connected with you, both of them shut down instantly. I don't know whether it's protecting me or protecting you. I have no idea. Either way, it's a horrible embarrassment. How are you, man? Good to see you.
Good. It's good to meet you. I was a little scared. I was like, oh my God, maybe I'm bad luck for Mitchell. I don't
I was
know.
going to say, how could I have offended him so quickly? How could he have offended me so quickly? I have no idea what the hell's going on. Oh, that is funny.
Worst interview of all time.
Exactly. You know what? Some of the best ones get off to the rockiest start, so let's go with that.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you so much for saying yes. I really appreciate it. I really like your manager. He's a great guy.
Chris is awesome.
Yeah. So, usually because the business, I write 100 people, only one of them will say yes. And, Chris was very nice about it, so I was like, oh, that's
I want
awesome.
the 99 that said no. Give me those names.
I have a whole list of them. You actually you know a lot of them too.
I'm sure I do. I'm sure I do. Listen, I have a whole lot of people that have said no to me over the years too. And that's the part of the business that people don't really get. They see they see the successes. They see you on a show, or they'll see you during, doing your work. And, whether it's comedy, whether it's doing the podcast, they see the successful stuff, right?
Yeah.
But they don't realize that for every successful thing, there were other things that you had to plow through or power through to get to that one successful thing. So I think that's sort of like the not the disconnect between people that consume the entertainment and the people that provide the entertainment. There's just sort of like, I don't think people realize all the time what, how many failures you have to go through to get to that one thing. You're like, oh, I'm so proud of that. Or yes, I got that gig, or, it doesn't, but it's good. It's good. People shouldn't see them. They should see the pretty things in front of them, not the ugly underbelly of the industry that really exists. It's much healthier than that way, right?
For sure. And here's how I think about maybe this is kind of a creepy thing to say, but I think no usually means not right now. So like you could always change it, you know what I mean?
Totally creepy if you're talking about dating.
Right, yeah.
Totally creepy if you're talking about dating, but if you're talking about, yeah. And listen,
business.
Yes. It's like, it's like that old joke. My mom told me this joke years ago. It's not really a joke per se, but just a reality of the industry, which is, talking about that, I work with them. I will never work with him again. It'll be I will never do that again until I need him. Right. And it's true because, again, how many things come full circle? Well, oh yeah, I can't. Yeah. You told me no 100 times, but you never know. Like I said, and again, in this industry, especially like in movies and television, you will have a million people. So you didn't ask me this question, but let me just put this out there for you and see if it resonates with you.
Okay.
I get a lot of people asking me, and I have had over the years, whether I'm on a set or just in casual conversations with friends, or, or I'm giving a lecture somewhere, people will say, so what advice what advice do you give to young actors, and what qualities do you think they should have to be successful? I was like, wow, that's a really interesting and a really tough question, but I have two things that always come to mind. Number one, you have to have a very short memory.
Right.
You have to categorically forget that yesterday happened. You have to have that ability, because if you don't, the business will eat you alive. There's so many negative things that can happen to get to that positive thing, as we said at the beginning. And the other thing, what was the other two things? I'm getting old, I forget. And the other thing is, have other things in life, aside from, in my case, acting, have other things in life that give you joy.
Yeah, definitely.
Don't be so myopic about, I'm going to be an actor no matter what. I have to be successful. Just when you have that tunnel vision, you're missing out on so many things.
Yeah.
Not the least of which is becoming just like a well-rounded person and on a human level, but also open to other things that will add to your work later on in life. And again, when you're so hard focused on one thing, it's like going on a date with someone. They're like, hi, you're really cool. You're really cute. You make good money. I really like you. I think we should do this again. You're like, whoa, hey now. Let's back up. Let's not do that. That's very unattractive.
Right.
So that sort of that desperation has a smell, and people can smell that. They can sense that.
Yeah.
So to not have that desperation, you have to have other things that give you joy. And to not have that, your brain caving in on you that next day. You have to forget yesterday happened. And I've said that all the time. It's like, how have you gone through the business? So you've been doing this 40 something years. I forget yesterday happened, because if I remember everything that happened before, I cannot get out of bed today. I will not get out of bed today. I can't. So there you go.
But that's great advice, and I actually take that advice because, I want to be an actor, but I'm a shitty actor, but I'm a great stand-up comedian. So like that
You know
gives
what?
me joy.
But you know what? I think back in the day, because like if you look like the Montreal Comedy Festival back in the day, they used to the casting directors and the producers and the creators used to go to Montreal to the comedy festival. They'd look at those acts and they'd pick people from those acts to like star in a TV show. We're going to be in our new pilot. They're going to be a big hit. And I think what they don't realize is, first of all, stand-up comedy is a skill. Being able to do stand-up is a skill.
Yeah,
Very different skill set necessarily. It translates into being an actor, absolutely. But is it the same skill set that you
I don't
have
think
being
it
an
is.
actor? And it is not, because, and I think there were so many people that when they would bring the comedians over, or they take an act from that festival or any place in New York, at the Improv, wherever they're going to scout new talent, right? And they'd say, "Oh, we got this great stand-up. He's funny. His act is great. We're going to put him in a TV show." Well, right there, again, we use the term disconnect. It's like you're taking someone that writes their own stuff,
Right.
performs on stage to an audience one-on-one with their own material, and you want to push them take that square and push it into a round hole where now they're not writing their own stuff. You're writing for them, hopefully in their voice or what you think is their voice.
Right.
And they're going to have to work off of other people, which they may be able to do brilliantly, but you're basing the fact that they can, in your mind, on the fact that they were able to relate to an audience with their routine.
Exactly.
And they'd wonder why a lot of times the stand-ups that would end up getting, and again, you could take the Seinfelds and the people that made it work great, that is its own thing. Again, the two things can merge properly. It's the expectation and the assumption by executives and by studios that it will work perfectly. You
Oh
will
yeah.
take this person that writes their own stuff on the stage by themselves and make them part of a show where they're no longer in control of what's being written. Hopefully, maybe they have some control,
All
and
right.
assume that, why isn't this successful? It's like, man, you're taking somebody out of their element. And if they make it more friendly for someone that isn't used to that venue, then yes, it can work, or maybe they have that skill set. So it is a very unique, and you take an actor and ask them to do stand up, most of the time they would bomb. And
Oh
you have
yeah.
some people that could do it
Just look
again,
at Jeremy Piven.
but I mean, it's like, I think there's this idea that, acting and stand up is the same thing, and it takes the same skill set, because we have seen crossover where so many talented comedians are able to get up and end up being fabulous actors. And again, it's something that you can get better at. It's something, again, you have to have that knack, that comfort being on stage, being interacting with other people and just being present in the moment. That is a skill set. But I
Yeah.
think you can, with training and with being in front of not just an audience, but with other people, it can definitely work. But it's the assumption that it works every time, that I think that's where people are sort of off base a little bit, thinking it goes both ways easily, and it doesn't.
No, definitely. And we might piggyback back and forth and go out of order on this, but since we're on this subject, you've worked with probably the best stand-up comedian of all time and Steve Martin and Sergeant Bilko.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? And he's a great actor, but now if he does stand-up, I don't think he could do stand-up. You know what I mean?
You know what? I don't know. I wouldn't. Steve is such a talented dude.
Yeah.
He's so different than anyone. First of all, I think people are shocked. I've mentioned this before in a couple of interviews. People would be shocked to know, because, if you look back at him in his SNL days with the wild and crazy guy and hosting SNL, and his movies back then, and even his movies now, he has such a big personality.
Yeah.
When he's on camera, when he's on that movie screen, he fills that screen. He has energy. He's out there. He's great, and a brilliant writer. He's written Broadway shows and books. Really super smart, talented dude. Probably the shyest human you will ever meet in your life when he's off camera.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely.
We would Have you ever met him? Have you ever spent
I,
any time with
I
him?
I've yes and no. Like I saw him, but
Okay.
I didn't meet
Right.
him
Right.
because I used to tour with Norm Macdonald
Okay.
and Steve Martin went to one of our shows and he was in the green room. And so like it was just like, but I didn't like talk to him.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I mean, we were, no, go ahead. Go ahead. I want to hear.
No, no, but like that's why because like I'm very good at talking with celebrities, but like Steve Martin, like I just got the vibe like, oh, it's Steve Martin. You know what I mean? Like that's cool. But
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny because sometimes, and again, if you're not great at reading people or if you're not great at like social cues, not everybody is, sometimes people take being shy as being standoffish.
yeah.
Like, oh, they think they're a big shot. They don't want to, they don't want to talk to me. They think they're so, and that is not the case. And at least
No,
it's
for
not the
sure.
case with Steve because couldn't be a nicer guy, a real easy to work with, fun, smart. And again, it's we were going to a rap party for Bilko and we were getting ready to go to the party and he's like Mitchell, you going, you're gonna go, right? I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go. And he goes, just wait for me before you go in, just we'll go in together. I was like, okay. And I was like, oh, that's really nice. I was like, Steve likes me. He did like me. He was a great guy, but I also know he was very shy. He wanted to make sure that he had his comfort zone and didn't want to, and I think especially with someone that's as out there and outgoing on camera as he is, people are like, how could you be like that? And you
Yeah.
forget that it's like, you can separate the work from just the human slash social or maybe not so social animal in you.
No, for sure.
But yeah, Steve is amazing and he was a blast to work with and generous, didn't need to hog the moment. Again, when you're that big and you've done that much, you don't need to make it all about you. And
Did
he
you
didn't, he never did.
did you ever get a card that said, "Hey, I met Steve Martin"?
I think I did.
Oh
I
my
think,
God.
uh, why does that sound familiar?
Because that's what he would do
Like when he
because
first meets you, when he meets you
he
the first
doesn't
time, gives you the
sell he
card.
doesn't do autographs, he just gives you a card.
But I never asked him for an autograph. So, I again, and that's again, that's sometimes really hard because you're working with people. And again, if you're an actor in a movie with another actor, at the end of the day, you're colleagues
Right.
on paper,
Yeah.
you're colleagues, but it's like, holy shit, that's Steve Martin. What am I going to do? And I had the same reaction with Glenn Close and Jeremy Irons when I worked with them. We were doing the read through in an apartment in Manhattan. We did shit, what was the name of the movie that we did together? Again, you're gonna have to help me here, but I'll find it later.
Okay.
So we did the movie, and or before the movie started shooting, we were all doing this read through in a Manhattan apartment, I guess where the producer was, and Glenn Close comes up to me and says, "Hi, I'm Glenn." And I was like, "I know, I'm Mitchell." And again, I felt like such a dork. She's like, "I'm Glenn." I was like, "Yeah, no kidding, you're Glenn. I know exactly who you are." But you do get like with certain people, it's it's easy to get starstruck, and you
Yeah.
have to stop yourself from watching them when you're working to actually being present and acting with them and not just sort of like, oh God, look at them speak. And again, sometimes at the very beginning, especially, and you get past that very quickly. But
Oh
there's
no,
that,
yeah.
and I had that working with Peter Cullen as Optimus Prime when I was doing the Transformers series, Robots in Disguise, the animated series. The first time he spoke, he's like, Autobots, roll out. Yeah, he starts talking. He's like, "Hi, Mitchell." I was like, "Huh?" And I said something that made him laugh. I'm like, "Optimus is laughing at me. Optimus is laughing. Did you see?" So unattractive, but it's hard sometimes to get that fanboy or fan person out of you when you're working with us, knowing that hey, we have to work together. I've got to turn this admiration off and just be your colleague. But it's hard at first. I definitely feel that.
Yeah, and I learned a little trick on this because I'm on the spectrum, so like I'm not
Reversal
shut.
of Fortune.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry,
But
Reversal of Fortune was the name of the movie. I just
oh,
it
with
would have
Glenn
gone.
Close.
It would
Glenn
have gone
Close.
if I apologize for jumping in. It just came to me. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No,
Yes.
no, but I was gonna say I'm on the spectrum, so I am actually not very shy. I'm more on the standoffish side when I don't talk to people.
Right.
But
Right. Right.
like what I like to do when I talk to celebrities is like I learned a little trick is always compliment a movie that they don't know that people like. Because
That's
that,
smart.
like for example, if I just met you, I'd be like, "Hey Mitchell, I just want you to know I loved you in Lost and Found."
You're the
Yeah.
person that saw that.
Yeah, and I loved Lost and Found. I thought it was great. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it
Thank
eases
you.
people out because
Yeah.
people are like, wow. Because usually the ones people don't know, they're usually the most fun ones to make.
Exactly. And the people are, I think actors are used to people seeing their most, visible and most notable or successful performance, whatever, you want to call it. So when somebody says something different, it's like, oh, that's cool. Thank you. I've never heard anybody talk about that movie before. That's really cool. Thank you. So
Yeah.
yes, that's actually very smart. And at
Yeah.
least, you know what? At least we're talking about this now because, I have, you know, I have people in my life that deal with social anxiety. Um, that have issues with direct communication and being in crowds, and the fact that we talk about it and that people are aware of it. And again, like I said, these things can be mistaken for a lot of different things. Like I
Yeah.
said, arrogance, ego. Who do you think you are? It's like, no. But the fact that we're more out there now talking about this stuff, and then
It's
other people
healthy.
start talking about, oh God, it's so healthy. And people are, my daughter deals with OCD. I have other people in the family, like I said, that deal with social anxiety. It's like the fact that we talk about it and it becomes something that, okay, the more we talk about it, the more we're aware of it. So then next time when we're with somebody that is showing signs of, okay, maybe they're not comfortable making, maybe they're uncomfortable because of me. Maybe I can do something to help them be more comfortable. Let them
Yeah.
come to me, wait till they're, on their terms. So I love talking about this, and it's important, not just because we're talking about actors and how they behave, but just as human beings being more cognizant of these things and the different ways that people react socially. It's nice and it's helpful. It helps
Yeah,
people out.
definitely. So back to Lost and Found. I had two quick
Yes,
questions about Lost
sure.
and Found.
I hope I remember. Go ahead.
I wanted to ask you, because you were David Spade's partner, with the
Yes,
restaurant, and
yes,
he lost your ring.
yes.
Did you ever like when he gave you the ring? Did you ever like look at it and be like, I don't think this is the same ring? Like, were you thinking that?
I don't think I was. Listen, I know I don't think there was so much going on that set.
Yeah,
And with David, first of all, David is friggin' hysterical. It was very hard for me to keep a straight face with him.
yeah.
It was very hard to work with him because not hard to work with him because difficult. He was hard to work with because he was so damn funny, and every single take was completely different. I don't think I was even thinking about that. And we shot that movie really, really fast. And we also had really long nights. The one thing that sticks out, and this is above all else, when he was singing that Neil Diamond song, when he
Oh,
has that
brother
moment,
loves traveling
which
pants.
by the way, which is a fantastic song.
Yeah, yeah.
Fantastic song. At least the Neil Diamond version is fantastic. David's version was good. Neil Diamond's was fantastic.
Spade was tone deaf.
I mean, it wasn't Neil Diamond. It was David Spade's version was much different. But we shot that scene for maybe how long were we doing that? 16 hours? It was a really long time. So
Yeah,
I almost feel like everything else from that movie became a complete blur. And that whole movie was hyper focused on that one Neil Diamond song, David
yeah,
Spade's rendition of it. And oh God, you're bringing back some great memories now. I hadn't thought of like individual moments in that movie in so long, but there were some really fun ones and some great people.
yeah.
Some great people. Kristen Clemenson, another amazing actor. Um, it was great. It was great, and he was great. David was a lot of fun to work with.
The reason why I liked it because in a way, I mean, it wasn't in the same tone, but in a way, it was kind of like a something about Mary 2 type of thing. You know
Oh
what I mean?
God,
Like
we
like a guy does whatever he can to get the girl and it
exactly right.
kidnaps. So that's why it was like a feel good type of thing like that.
Exactly, exactly.
Mm.
Oh, I love the Something About Mary. That's a great movie. Very
Oh
disturbing
yeah.
and very fun.
Oh yeah, I love it. If I was an actor, I think that's one I wish I was in. You know what
Oh
I
my
mean?
gosh. Oh my gosh. And I go back with Ben Stiller a long way, and he was so good in that movie. That the casting was so spot on. That
Yeah.
was one of those movies that was, again, I know some people might find it offensive, and I get that, but at the end of the day, it's one of the funniest movies ever made. Very hard to watch some of it, but man, was it funny.
Yeah.
It was just a fun movie.
And another one of the funniest movies that's ever made is a movie you're in, The Great My Cousin Vinny.
Oh, my cousin Vinny, my uncle
Yeah.
Vinny. Yeah.
Yeah. So like how did that project get in your hands? Like was that like your
Wow.
second or third movie or something?
Um, I think it was my probably my third movie, but it was my second movie after moving to LA.
Okay.
And I had done Dogfight. I don't know if Dogfight had come out in the theaters yet. I think it may have. And this audition came up. And I remember reading the script and thinking, oh, this is great. I love this. It's on, and listen, not everything translates on paper.
Yeah.
Sometimes something that's great to read
Doesn't
doesn't
film good.
translate to film, right? And sometimes something on film may not read as something brilliant until you see it come to life, right? So,
Yeah.
there's never a guarantee. I read this script and I was like, oh man, this is so good. And I'd been in California maybe a year, less than a year.
Yeah.
And so I said to my agent, I was like, oh, I'd love to be a part of this. I said, well, we're trying to get them to see you, but they're looking for a New York actor.
That's you,
And I'm
right?
looking around. I'm like, um, what part of I've just moved out from New York less than a year ago doesn't make I am a New York actor and I've only been out here less than a year. I spent my whole life in New York,
Right.
because I'm not talking like this. It's like they don't assume that I am, right? So I was like, no, I am a New York guy. So they're like, okay, they saw me. I auditioned and okay, they liked you. They want you to come back. I came back and read again for them. I said, okay, they are they are doing the screen test. They want to do a screen test with you in New York. Are
Yeah.
you willing to? I was like, yes, I'll fly to New York for the screen test. Not a problem. I said my family was there. My still a lot have a lot of family there, so I could visit my family. It was great. They said one thing. They want you to lose 10 pounds before the screen test next week.
Oh my God.
I said, oh, okay. Now again, I wasn't quite sure why, and it was explained to me. So I was naturalist. I played hockey when I was in college and before college and after college. And so I was like a good solid 180 in
Right.
good shape, in really good shape back then, right? Now it's like, not as it's starting to fall. Gravity's taking its toll on my
You
60,
look, you
60
look
years.
good over Zoom.
God bless you. You can stay. You can definitely stay. I will come back. Um, so I was about 180 pounds in good shape. And I realized, there's the scene with Joe Pesci in the prison cell where, I don't know who he is. I think he's there to have his way with me. And if I was my current weight of 180, a solid 180 in good shape, being, several inches taller than Joe, visually, it might not look right for me to be intimidated by him.
Right. You'd
If I
have
was like
have
180,
your hit way with him.
exactly. It's like, why would I just like throw him off? Like, so, and that's visually. And Joe's a tough guy. I'm not saying I would have thrown him, I'm just saying visually, the joke wouldn't have played as well with me looking as frightened if I was, in really good shape. And, so they said, drop 10 pounds for the screen test. So I did. Flew to New York. I read with Ralph. We, did they have you partnering up with different people. It's like a mix and match. And the thing about a screen test, I don't know if you know this, you probably do, but for your listeners who don't, the thing that's interesting about a screen test, whether it's for television or for a movie, they try and simulate and try and shoot it like they would like a scene in a movie. So they have, makeup and they have it look as good as it can possibly look. So they see you in your best light, figuratively and literally.
And you do it
But what
for
they
free.
you do it for free, but you have to sign your contract before the screen test.
Oh my God, do you
And I
really?
mean, sign the contract as if you're going to like sign the contract for you doing the movie before you go in for your final screen test. And
Oh
when
my
they did,
God.
and I was thinking, about why do they, sure, I'll do that. No problem. Why do they do it? And it makes perfect sense because if you don't and they love you, the agents can play the game. Well, how much do you love them? How much is it worth? Suddenly now becomes a negotiating tool,
Oh,
right?
so they want to
So
nail it down before they say,
correct.
oh,
So, but the funny thing was, it's like I hadn't done any really. I mean, Dogfight was the first studio movie I had done, but that was still had like a more like small indie feel to it. It wasn't a big studio movie. It was like a smaller boutique studio movie. So it's like I was going to say yes. I wasn't going to, rake him over the coals. I didn't have the leverage. I didn't have any
yeah.
leverage to say, oh, you have to pay me double. So I would have done it anyway. But so they didn't know that. But I'm telling you now. I said yes, please. So, a screen test is yes, they try and simulate actually professionally shooting the scene, and then they look at it to compare all the actors or the two actors, depending on how many they're looking at. And it was it was actually a great experience. I did my screen test, and when you do the screen test, there's a 2 week hold. So you
Okay.
sign the paperwork, and they have 2 weeks
To
to let
decide.
you know yay or nay. If not, they either can say, okay, we're activating the contract, you're hired, or we decided to go another way. And I didn't hear until the last hour of the last day of that 2 weeks that I actually got the job.
Whoa, they're making you sweat.
But I mean, I don't think they were doing that to me in the background. I think they were trying to work out. They really wanted Will Smith to do the movie
Okay.
at the end of the day because he had fresh prints. He was very recognizable. I had done some stuff, but I wasn't like a TV star like Will Smith was at that time to become a movie star.
Right.
So I didn't know what was going on in the background. And at the last second, I got the call that I was going to be doing the movie, and I was so excited. And they called me. They said, "Hey, congratulations! We really wanted you to do this." And the studio was pushing, I think, for the bigger name, which I understand. It's a business, and
Right.
they want to make sure that their box office is as much as it can be without having to worry about promotion, which they still do anyway. But hey, if a movie promotes itself because the stars are in it, that so be it. And they congratulated me and they said, we start shooting in 6 weeks, drop another 25 pounds.
Whoa.
I was like, oh, yay. Okay. Which I did. And
That's awesome.
by the time we started shooting that movie, I was down to 140. And every time I watched that movie, I ended up losing more than I needed to. Every time I watch it, I was like, oh, so skinny.
Yeah.
That poor kid. That poor kid is so hungry. And I got to Georgia where we shot because it had the same look. The land and the topography was very similar to Alabama. So we shot in Georgia. And the director, Jonathan Lynn, who's a sweetheart of a guy, very
Oh yeah, Clue. He directed Clue
oh
too.
yeah.
Oh,
And I mean, he's won like do you have British Academy Award? British, I mean, he's like genius writer, producer, director, actor, performer. He'd given me like a huge basket
oh,
with
nice.
muffins and chocolate. And I saw this. And again, I had just dropped 40 pounds to be able to do this movie. I grabbed it. I got in my car and I went to his door. I was like, you insensitive man. Do you know how hard I worked? And I gave him the basket and then I like, but I'm still keeping two of these muffins. And I ran off and he was laughing. So yeah, so that's how they didn't want to see me because originally because they wanted a New York guy. We convinced them I was a New York guy. I dropped the weight, did the screen test, flew to New York, and all the rest is history. And thank
Yeah.
God. I mean, that's just like one of the great experiences of my life, especially at
Yeah.
that point.
I have a terrible Will Smith joke, so I'm gonna say it anyway.
Oh dear.
You slap that part out of his
Oh wow. Yeah, you went there. Yeah, this was all pre drama with that stuff. But yeah, yeah, a little
uh
different now. But yeah,
so my second My Cousin Vinny question I had for
sure.
you, uh and I'm sure you know this, but maybe you don't. But in the Austin Pendleton scene where he's doing his thing, you are laughing the entire time. I
The
don't know
entire time.
I don't know if you know that, but
Oh, wait a
like
second. You're telling the guy who couldn't stop laughing, you're saying I probably didn't know that I was laughing the
well,
entire time?
I didn't want to like say, hey, bitch, I don't
Dude,
know.
the producer and director had to come over to me and say, listen, we know it's funny, but we need one clean take of you not laughing. I was like, I hear you. Intellectually, I know what you want and I know the right thing to do,
Yeah.
but the body wants what the body wants. He's fun. And here's the worst part, okay? Here's the absolute worst part of it all. Austin Pendleton, first of all, we became friends after. He's like such a nice guy. Again, as nice as he is talented.
Yeah.
I said to him, because I knew it was going to be a problem. I knew he was going to be a problem because I couldn't stop laughing at him. I said, look, here's what I need you to do. When the camera turns around, because again, a lot of people don't know how filmmaking works. And I don't mean that in a condescending manner. I mean that like the logistics of it. So when you shoot a scene, you will shoot the master shot of the scene, which is the wide pulled back version of the whole scene where you're
Right.
capturing everything. After that, you go into something called coverage. Coverage includes, like, if it's you sitting at a desk talking, would be a close up of you. Then there'd be like an over the shoulder shot of the person talking to you from their point of view. Then
Mhm.
the camera goes behind you over your shoulder to capture the person that's talking to you. So, that's called coverage. And you cover a movie like this. That's why shooting a movie takes so darn long because you're not just shooting, that one scene one way. You're shooting that one scene from multiple different angles. And
Right.
sometimes with different dialogue or different lines in there to see. So you have the editor and the director have a choice of which way to possibly go with the scene, right?
Make it edit all together too.
Correct. That you could take one scene and they shoot like 50, 40, let's say 30 takes of it, whatever. Usually not that long on one scene, but and you can make a million different movies depending on how you cut that together.
Right.
Both on performance, on angle, because again, you can tell such a brilliant story. That's why editors are so valuable and directors are so valuable because they're telling a story visually. So yeah. So I told Austin, and this is what happens a lot. I was like, look, when you're doing your part and when it's my close up, please don't do the full performance because I won't be able to handle it. If you could just do like almost like you're talking through it and marking, and basically I need him to like walk around where he walks because my sight line is following him. So that needs to be on point. He
Right.
needs to like hit his marks like where he does it on when he's on camera. Even when he's off camera, he needs to do the same thing so that my head is tracking him and everything matches when they put the movie together, right? So I said, do me a favor, just do the mark your spots on, so I know where to look, but please don't give a full performance. Do like half because it'll kill me. He's like, I got your back, no problem. Son of a bitch. And he would tell you the same thing. He'd probably laugh. But you told him you'd laugh. So we had lights and action. Ladies and gentlemen of the biggest, boldest, loudest, stutter-filled. I've and I was just like, and he's looking at me like, huh? Is this what you wanted? I could have killed. I loved him so much, and I was laughing. So again, even on my close-up, the part where I'm supposed to be the most composed, because the
Right.
camera is right there. You cannot run from that camera when it's in close.
Yeah.
And I was just, that's why you'll see me like covering my head,
Yeah,
covering
you
my
you
face.
were doing this a lot.
And, I tried to play it off like, oh yeah, I was very worried about what was going to happen because, I'm on trial for my life there. I really
Right.
hope I'm okay.
Oh my
And
God.
everybody, some people don't notice it, but once I tell them, they're like, "Oh my God, you're totally laughing." I'm like, "Yes, I am. Yes, I am." And it's sort of like a badge of honor because there was no way. And I begged Austin. And if you ever interview Austin, by the
I would
way,
love to interview Austin.
oh my God, you bring this up to him and you tell him that I love him anyway.
All right.
Even though he did that to me, it's a great story to tell, and I love him anyway.
Yeah. I mean, my cousin Vinny, that's I used to watch that movie all the time with my mom. It was our favorite
Oh,
movie. It was like our bonding movie. And I noticed that. I was just like, "Oh my God," because I'm glad you knew that, but I was
oh God, yeah,
my mom didn't catch it until like the third or fourth time.
yeah.
I was like, Stan's laughing.
And not only that, but like, thankfully, both, Paul Schiff, who's our producer, Dale Launer, the writer, Jonathan Lynn, our director, they were generous in terms of, when we did a scene, you try to do it like, okay, do it as written,
Mm,
perform. Then you're just like, hey, let me try one just for me and maybe put a little ad lib in there, right? So there were certain ad libs that I made that were not in the script that actually made it into the movie.
yeah.
And so when I look back now, when we're first being arraigned, and she's like, yeah, Gambini and Stanley Rothenstein. And I look at Ralph, I'm like, Steen, not Stein. He's like, shut up. And it's like, and again, that wasn't scripted, but I remember thinking, look, I may be on trial for my life here, but at least get my damn name right. It really
Right.
bothered me that she mauled my name. So I was telling Ralph, like, Steen, not Stein. It's like, shut up. So that whole moment wasn't written into the script. So little things like that, where I look at it and I'm like, first of all, such a brilliantly written movie. Dale on her script was great. And Jonathan Lynn was amazing. So the fact that they let me play a little bit and that they let me put a little bit of my own stuff in there that actually made it in there, that was just like extra joy, extra
What
joy.
what was he before a lawyer or a fucking comedian? Was that you or was that in the script?
That was in the script. That was in the
Ah,
script.
he
Yeah.
thinks you should give it to
Yeah.
him? Uh,
I remember that when Ralph was trying to convince me to go with Vinny. And I'm like, oh no, you must be joking, my young friend.
uh, but no, that movie had so many great actors in it, and I wanted to ask you about Lane Smith because I know
Oh
you didn't.
gosh.
I know you didn't have a lot of scenes with him, but you saw him work a lot, and I
Oh,
wanted to know, like, as an actor, because I think he's one of the best character actors of all time.
amazing. And
Yeah,
again, he was another one that I had a hard time not laughing at, where he's like, identical with the identical. Let's get down to, he had these little manners. Let's get down to the lick log. And he had
yeah,
these like manner. And I was just like, I don't know what he's doing, but it's friggin' genius. And I'm, again, having a very hard time. Thank goodness Austin Pendleton had already conditioned me. Like, I got all of my giggles out at that point because when he was doing his thing, I couldn't keep it together. He was so unusual. His choices were so interesting as an actor. He's so interesting. And that's
yeah.
what made him a great actor.
Oh, for sure.
He wouldn't just give you the lines. I mean, it was his characters were different and they stand out, and the way they spoke and their mannerisms, it was just so he's he's brilliant.
Yeah,
And that character was especially unusual. Yes.
and the one reason why I say he's one of the best character actors because usually he plays a bad guy and
Right.
he's the guy you want to root for, which is so unusual for a bad person. You know what I
I
mean?
know. I know. I know.
So
That's the gift, to be able to get people to root for even when they don't want to or when
yeah,
they're not supposed to.
exactly.
So, oh yeah. Oh, I get that. Yeah, he was deeply disturbed and brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I have one more movie question, and then I
Sure.
have three more fun questions, but I want to respect
Hey,
your
these are
time.
fun too. These are
Oh, okay.
fun. Yeah,
Okay,
I'm having a
cool.
great time.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Best men, you worked with Drew Barrymore
I
and
did.
Andy Dick,
Yeah.
and I wanted to know, like, was Andy Dick that crazy back then as he is now?
Yeah.
Yeah,
He was,
all
but you know
right.
what? You know what? I haven't seen, I mean, as he is now, I don't know because I just know it's hard to tell unless you're like in the room with someone how much of it is like being put on versus how much of it is them. And
Right,
he was, so I wouldn't know unless I actually shared a room with him now and
right.
had a conversation with him now. But oh yeah, he was wild and funny and bizarre. He was always a little different, a little off. Again, another guy that I guess the theme really is me having a hard time keeping a story. I'm quick to blame other actors, like, oh, yeah, Austin, it's his fault. He really had it in for me, and that Lane Smith is really screwing with me. It's at
Right.
the end of the day, it's me having the problem. It's a me problem, not a them problem. But yeah, Andy's very funny and very bizarre. Again, talk about like strange choices, and I'm not talking about life choices. I'm talking about
No, yeah,
like acting
work.
choices.
Yeah,
That's a whole other ball game we won't go into.
yeah.
But just working with him, he was so bizarre and really a lot of fun. And if I can, like, just tell you one quick story about that. So again, you talk about stuff that do you know about what happened with Drew Barrymore in that movie with me?
She kissed you, or you kissed her.
Yeah, but that wasn't scripted.
That wasn't scripted. Whoa!
No,
Oh,
that was not
Mitchell.
scripted. That was not scripted. So, so at that point, Drew and I'm not talking out of school. They I think they talked about it a lot. They were dating at that time when they did that movie. They were actually dating in real life.
Andy and
So,
Drew?
no,
Oh,
Luke. Sorry, Luke Wilson. No, not Andy and Drew. Luke Wilson and Drew. That would have been a very unusual couple. I don't judge. I don't judge. That's whatever makes your floats your boat. But no, that Luke Wilson and Drew Barrymore were dating at that point.
okay, okay. That
So
makes more sense.
yes, yes. So we're doing the scene on the bus where I'm about to walk out and like sacrifice myself to the police.
Right.
Um, I'm not ruining anything, and eventually meeting my demise. For the people that haven't seen the movie, sorry. I know. Yeah, I get killed. I get killed. So I said to the director, I was like, listen, and I said to Drew, I took Drew aside. I was like, let's try something at the end of this before I walk off the bus that I just kiss you and keep the camera rolling, and then I'll leave the bus. And she's like, I love that. And the director's like, I love that. Let's do it. Now, nobody else, including her boyfriend,
Right.
Luke Wilson, had no clue. They just knew what was scripted, which is I say goodbye to everyone and I leave. I don't touch her. I don't kiss her. So we start to shoot the scene. We said, and I just grab her by the waist and plant one on her and say, and I look at him like, I'm sorry. I always wanted to do that. And then I leave the bus, right? Next time you watch that movie, and again, it was one take. We did
One
one
take.
take of
Okay.
that. And that's the one that they left in. And if you look at his face, knowing what you know now, that he had no clue what was happening. And it was
Yeah.
his girlfriend, for goodness sake. Not, not like, how dare you kiss my girl. It's a movie. Things happen. You're going to do stuff and, you play someone's wife or girlfriend, whatever, you can't think like that. It's work. But the look on his face was like, dude, really? I like it though. I mean, like you got to read his eyes and see his face when it happens. And when I look back, and I don't watch the movie that often. I tend not to watch my stuff very often, but the few times that I have watched it and I just see his face when it happened, it was so funny just because he had no clue and he was so cool about it. He like
Yeah.
afterwards, he was like, all right. He was like a very chill guy, very laid back guy. And he ended up liking the way it turned out, hopefully. So, I know he liked it after we shot it, but yeah, so that was not in the movie at all. Was not
Yeah.
supposed to kiss her. But next time you watch it, just watch Luke's face. It tells the whole story for you.
You mentioned you don't really watch your stuff that much, do you?
Yeah.
And I'm kind of the same way, even though I haven't done a lot of movies, but I don't enjoy watching myself. I don't even like listening to myself.
It's weird. If it's something that's scripted, I have a harder time watching than if it's something like this, where
Right.
it's an interview or if I'm doing a YouTube video or if I'm doing, like I said, a video podcast or something. That isn't as hard. Like I don't mind. Like if I'm doing something, so I have a radio show on Sirius XM, and sometimes we do a lot of segments like this on Zoom or whatever platform we're using at the time. We
Mhm.
do it because my radio partner's in Montreal, so we use this to communicate. So it's very helpful to have, to have the visual and to be able to do it this way. I completely forgot what I was going to say now.
Oh, I said because I have a hard time myself.
Yes, watching.
Yeah,
So if it's
watching
something,
unless.
so we got used to doing those interviews, and I would interview friends of mine, um, like Jamie Stegmeyer is a big board game developer. He designs board games. He publishes board games. Very famous in the board game industry. I
Oh,
like watching
nice.
those videos back because not for me so much, but I love watching Jamie talk and watching us together. So that stuff doesn't bother me. But if it's a movie or a TV show, something that's scripted, it's always a little. I feel like it's a little cringy for me to watch. I don't know why. Not because I don't think it was good. Maybe because I'm still looking at it clinically and I'm not looking at it as somebody looking to watch that movie or watch that TV show. I'm looking at it more clinically because I
Right.
remember what happened on that day. I remember the other takes that I did. Was I good enough in this one? Was this one? Or should I have done that? So sometimes, it gets easier as time goes on once you've seen things several times. Like My Cousin Vinny, I've seen quite a few times. So it's easier now. I get out of my head and get more into, I'm watching it with my kids. Oh, that's dad. Oh, they could care less. They turn the channel. But it is a little weird watching myself when it's something that's scripted.
Yeah.
Something unscripted in interview scenarios. Like I could watch us doing this forever. We could do this
Oh, that's
forever.
because this is great.
This is fun. We're having fun. But yeah,
This
but
is gold.
I get a little weird about, like, even in the theater going to a premiere watching a movie that I haven't seen for the first time. That's the worst. If I'm
Yeah.
at a premiere, I'm just like, oh my God, I hope I didn't embarrass myself. Oh, what's it gonna be?
Yeah.
Oh, you can't, there's still that little party. It's like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm gonna see.
No, I totally know the feeling because like I do stand up and I record all my sets, with either a video or a tape recorder. And I remember when I filmed my special, I watched it once and I thought it was the best thing in the world, like in my heart, but I
Right.
could never watch it or listen to it again because I find myself.
You dissect it.
No, I just find I feel I have a very annoying voice and I feel like I don't want to hear it. Does that make
Oh
sense?
wow. Of course it makes sense. No, no,
So
not that you have an
no,
annoying
no,
voice,
yeah,
but
yeah,
how we start again, you're like microanalyzing things and like, oh man, I don't like the way I look there, I don't like the way I sound. It's like it's just easier to just not to watch.
exactly.
Because it's hard to, because I think performers are generally harder on themselves than anyone else could ever be.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
More
And
judgmental, more likely to say, yeah, but because you know yourself better than anyone.
yeah,
Anyone that's going to criticize or make a comment, they're looking at you from the outside. You know yourself inside out. So if anyone is going to push your buttons, push your own buttons, it's going to be you. And if
yeah.
anyone's going to be sensitive to those button pushings, it's going to be you because you know yourself in a much deeper level. So I totally get that. It makes sense. But if it helps you, I think you have a beautiful voice.
Oh, well, thank you, Mitch.
There you
Mitchell.
go.
Is it okay if I called you Mitch? I'm sorry.
No. You know what? You can call me either one. People always ask, do I have a preference? I will never introduce myself as Mitch.
Right.
But the
Because
one
your
thing
name's Mitchell, but
it is
like,
Mitchell. It is
yeah,
Mitchell, but I don't mind. People call me Mitch all the time. I don't have a problem. The only time I think it's weird is when, and I've told this before too, it's like if somebody introduces me, I think it's the easiest thing in the world. If someone introduces himself to you and tells you what their name is, all you have to do is repeat it.
yeah,
It's the easiest thing in the world. I don't care if their name is Lamb Chop Jones. Hi, Lamb Chop. Nice to meet you. Hi, Lamb Chop Jones. Good to meet you. All you have to do is repeat what they tell you. They're
right.
telling you what they want to be called, right? So the only thing I find weird is if somebody introduces me to someone, hey, this is Mitchell, and someone goes, hey, Mitch. And again, it doesn't bother me that you just called me Mitch, but if somebody introduces me or say, hey, what's your name? I say, hey, I'm Mitchell. Hey, Mitch. It's like, dude, I just said Mitchell.
Right.
I gave you a get out of jail free card. This is
Yeah.
not rocket science here. So no, you can call me whatever you want. That's the one
Well, we're
time where I'm
friends now.
well, no, but it isn't even that. It's like, yeah, after a while. But if somebody were to say, hey, this, I want you to meet Mitchell, I was like, hey, Mitch. It's like, you just said Mitchell. What are you doing? What are you doing? You didn't have to think about it. You didn't have to, what am I gonna do here? He just told you. So that's the only time I'm like, that's weird. But you can call
Yeah.
me Mitch, you can call me
Well, it's kind of like
anytime you want.
because people call me a lot by my last name, and I don't
Okay.
I don't mind it, but I'm very I have last name issues too. Like I like my first name, you know what I mean? But
Why do you have last name? Let's talk about
let's get
this.
into this. So it's called Reza Rifts.
No, I know.
It's not called Keith
Nikita,
Rifts.
no, I know that. I'm saying it's like that your last name is built into the show. So
No, yeah.
it's
So
funny that you would have an issue with people calling you by your last name since you see that this is exactly what I'm talking about. You kind of put it out there because you made the show based on your last name.
Yeah, I know. And
But yet you don't like people calling you by your last name.
it's so weird. 14 years ago, I thought I
Now
was
it's
cool.
bothering you. You know what? Take back, take back. How about Keith Creates? There we go.
That'd be
Keith
great.
Creates.
Yeah.
It's all we forget it. It's all been rebranded. I
Uh,
totally rebranded you.
uh, so I have three more questions,
Sure,
and this one's kind of like a kind of goofy of what your theory
sure.
is, and this has nothing to do with your career. It's just like your theory. So
Gotcha.
like take Stone Age for example, like the Stone Rocks,
Sure. Yeah.
like how do you think that was brought here? Like what are your thoughts about that?
Wow, you talking about Stonehenge and everything?
Yeah, or Egyptians, like how were
Yeah,
these
like the
built?
pyramids.
Yeah.
You know what? This actually came up in conversation. It's like it seems like a totally random question, but this actually just came up with me.
Really?
And
Oh,
yeah, this really did. And it came in. Somebody was talking about like conspiracy theories, just generally talking about conspiracy theories. And what was my feeling on this? Oh, you know what also came up in the same conversation was Bigfoot.
okay.
Bigfoot was another conversation about, and again, it's like, well, I mean, I think Bigfoot definitely could exist. The problem is in a society where everyone has a phone and communications have gotten so good,
Right.
and both archaeology and sociology have gotten so precise and so good. How come we haven't recovered any real? So, it got into that sort of debate. Well, I'm a person of science and math. So in my head, I try and do the math because they all talk about, especially when you talk about, let's say, the pyramids.
Right.
They talk about, and mathematicians and scientists talk about what it would have taken to actually bring those giant pieces of stone, not laying the foundation. That was just brute strength. Foundation was brute strength.
Right.
But how they were able to get something that heavy, that high.
So even too.
So perfect. It's something that, architects today can't even match because again, you have the luxury of like looking down from space and looking at some of these structures or looking from really up high and looking at the exact measurements. And there, you hear a lot of people say the only way they could have done what they've done in terms of the planning, not just the execution, but the planning of this was to have that view from up high. You could only achieve that sort of precision from having an aerial view,
Right.
something that, according to us now, they had absolutely zero way of replicating back then.
Yeah.
That to me is the part that I can't. That's the disconnect. Again, I use that word a lot because I think with like using levers, and winches and pulleys. Again, powerful technology, still old school technology to a lot of people. I just put a winch in my garage, so I have winches on the mind. That's my new song. Welcome to Winches on the Mind.
That'd
I'm
be a
Mitchell.
great
Don't call
song.
me Mitch Whitfield. I'm kidding. So Winches on the Mind, right? So, and
Here
I'm thinking
on
about
Keith Reza.
no, Keith Creates, sponsored by Mitchy the Kid. Because I'm spitting on myself. So I'm down with the idea that they could have used pulleys and lever systems, intricate pulleys and lever systems to build like sliding platforms to get certain things up. It's the planning. It's the planning stage that I can't sort of get in my head because
Right.
again, if you talk to architects and scientists, it's like there's no way this could have been planned without having a
Yeah.
proper top down of how this was going to look and how the hell are they going to do that. And that's specifically for the pyramids. So I don't know. Do you have a theory? Because I mean,
I,
I'd love to hear.
I have a theory.
I'd love to hear. Let me
It's
lay it on me.
probably way off from the truth or what you think, but this is like a weird.
No,
So,
let's go.
okay. So let's just say in 3,000 years from today, right? Uh, uh, we're in the future, right?
Mhm.
Hardcore future. You and I, our children, our grandchildren, we're all dead, but
Right. Yeah. I
we're
would hope so in 1,000
okay.
years. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So they come up with this thing. Now, roll with me on this one, Mitchell.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
They come up with this thing called time machines, right? And what they do is they travel back in time to build this stuff just to fuck with us.
Now, hold on a second. Is
Yeah.
fucking with us the sole purpose, or is that just a pleasant
No,
result?
it's to fuck with us because we're
Okay.
wondering how are these made, and
Right.
they're looking at us in their time machine, laughing their asses off because we are too stupid to, you know what I mean?
Okay. Okay. So wait a second. Okay. So let's back. Are you familiar with the television show Fringe?
No,
Oh,
no.
dude. Oh my.
It's
Okay.
called Fringe.
Fringe. Fringe. I believe it is still streaming on Prime. I ended up buying the series because it's my favorite series of all time,
Are you
bar
on
none.
it?
I'm not. No, I would
Oh.
never say anything that I was on was my favorite of all time. Too self-serving. Even if I thought it, I would never say it. I would never say anything of mine as my favorite. It's too
I'm sorry.
self-serving.
You were just
Yeah.
promoting it like that's
No,
coming
no,
up.
no,
I was like,
no, no,
whoa.
no. I'm not like a big self-promoter like that. Fringe is like clinically one of the best television shows ever made.
Okay.
And the reason it was so, one of the reasons it was so good, it was so smart. They had to have a plan from season one, before episode one ever aired. They had to know specifically what was happening in season 4 and 5 to make season one pay off.
Yeah.
So this wasn't a case of a show where they just, as they went along, they're trying to wrap up loose ends, which we've seen a lot of, especially in science fiction realm.
Right.
That didn't pay off like season 5. It's like, just like they tried to clap it together. It's like, yeah, maybe they didn't anticipate going this long and they had to find a way to wrap it up that made sense. Fringe was not that. They knew what was happening in season 5 and episode 1.
Whoa.
So it's so, and it deals with, let's just say tangentially, you will have some answers to what you just, or some relatability to what you just said about your theory. You
Oh
will
my
see it in
God.
Fringe. It's it's
I'm
it's
excited.
very it's a great show. It's brilliant. It might take some powering through the first few episodes till you sort of get a feel for it. Just power through the first 5 episodes
Right.
and get a feel for the show and then keep going.
Yeah.
And I want you to
Like
I want
Breaking Bad. The first 4 episodes were so boring, but
Well,
then
I mean, yeah, some shows, and it wasn't because I don't think Fringe took a while to sort of like find itself. Because some shows, like, you could tell like Seinfeld, if you watch the first season of Seinfeld, it was still great, but they didn't really find themselves what it was. They really weren't what they were going to be until later on.
right.
Fringe is not like that. It's equally brilliant from episode 1 moving forward, but there's just a lot of groundwork that needs to be laid in order for everything to pay off the way it pays off. And boy, does it pay off.
Oh, I'm
So I'm
excited to
looking forward
watch
to
it.
hearing back from you. Like once you've started
Yeah.
versus season 2, season 3, like, oh my God, I can't believe that just happened. I mean,
Next
it's
year
next.
when we have you on, I'll say I watched Fringe,
Absolutely.
and Mitchell, my theory was right.
You know what? Once you watch Fringe, you're going to double down. Let's just say you'll double down on your theory. That's all I'm going to say.
All
I'm
right.
100% sure you're going to double down on your theory.
Oh, awesome. And then my second to last question for you,
Yes.
Mitchell, is I wanted to know when you first started in this business, did you have any fears and do you still have those fears today?
I think fears and nerves are two different things.
Okay.
Um, Fear is, I don't think I can do this, or I'm afraid to try. I'm afraid to try. I'm afraid I won't succeed. That's what fear connotes with me.
Mhm.
Nerves is a nervous energy and excitement about something that's about to happen. That doesn't mean there's any fear attached to it. That just means, the nerves, like going out on stage. I mean, I started out my career on stage, in huge theaters. And again, I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but I'm just saying, you're on stage in like doing a Broadway show, or during a tour of a Broadway show, and you're in a 1,000-seat theater, um, live, where anything can happen, and if something goes wrong, you've got to fix it. There's
Yeah.
like a nervous energy that goes with that. It isn't fear, because I think if it was fear, you would never step out on that stage. But
Right.
there is definitely an excitement and a nervous energy, and that nervous energy continues right before the camera starts, right before that curtain opens. There is a nervous energy, and I kind of hope that's always there. It just sort of fuels it. Just fuels everything moving forward because it's exciting.
Yeah.
You don't know what's going to happen, especially in
Definitely.
front of a live audience. I mean, you know that too.
Yeah.
Your set, you know what you're going to do, you know what you plan on doing. But as the phrase goes, stuff happens, right? Shit happens.
No.
Something's going to happen on stage with you. It takes a different direction. Everything's a different tangent. So there's an excitement and nerves that go with that. But no, not fear. And it's not because I'm a fearless person. It's just because that doesn't sort of enter the equation when it comes to doing a job. Also, I think, if you're prepared for something, that kind of takes the fear away. It won't take the nervous energy away, but
Right.
preparation will take the fear away because you're capable. You know that you can do it. It's just a matter of like the nerves of like when it's about to start and that excitement. Does that answer your question?
No, definitely. And I
Cool.
I probably shouldn't pull Joe Rogan because I don't know the source, but I read that was a sarcastic remark, sorry. I
I know.
read
I was letting it go. Go ahead.
I read something that when someone was talking about fears, they said that the worst thing that could happen with your fears is you die, and if that happens, everyone dies. So I don't know exactly who said that, but that kind of makes a
Yeah,
lot of
everyone
sense.
dies. I guess that's true. If your worst fear is dying, hey, everyone dies. Yeah, but it's like if you're about to jump a motorcycle over some huge canyon and you've only been riding a motorcycle for a couple of weeks.
Yeah. The
It's like
fear
you're
would be
afraid
to
to do it because
survive.
it's like that's just stupid. It's like yeah, everyone's gonna die, but I don't have to die today.
Right,
I'd
exactly.
rather, die 60 years from now with my family around me and talking about what a great dude I was. And then I'm out of here. So yeah, everybody dies, but no one wants to die dumb or die
Yeah.
stupidly or die prematurely if it's salvageable. So yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I get that, but if your only fear is dying, well, hell, everyone does that.
Exactly.
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't relate to that much because I'd like to think that, life is worth a little bit more than, well, if I'm going to die anyway, today's as good a day as any. I'm not
Right.
really from that school. If it happens, listen, if you're in a life and death situation, someone you care about is in danger and you have to get involved and you do what you need to do. But put yourself unnecessarily in a life and death situation because hey, everybody dies. That doesn't sound very me. Doesn't sound very smart to me. But that's me.
No,
I'm a dumb
yeah.
kind of guy. So.
No, I think you're a very smart kind of guy. So
Go on. Go on, Keith. And how does that make you feel, Keith?
so then I wanted to ask you my last question is
All right.
Mitchell, if you could go into one of these time machines we talked about
Yes.
and talk to a younger version of yourself, right? You can't change history or whatever. All you could do is just talk to a younger version of yourself. It could be from yesterday or when you were a kid or when you were 20, whatever. And you have 5 minutes to talk to yourself. What kind of advice would you tell yourself?
Ooh. It's something that didn't occur to me. I won't say didn't occur to me, but it's sort of something that I told my kids that I'd want to make sure younger me knew. Even though I kind of lived that way, I'd want to verbalize it to myself. I'd probably make sure I said to myself, never be afraid to do the right thing, even if it's not popular.
Oh
And
my God.
that's sort of a hard thing, I think, for a lot of people. And something I talk to my kids about, because listen, you talk about peer pressure, you talk about listen, how many times in life is the right thing also not very popular, especially in these days where you're looking at the world today
Right.
and what a shit show things have become in terms of the way we treated people, the way we talk to each other, the way we think, how we have sort of mob mentality now. People don't think for themselves. We tend to, take other people's words for things. I'm not going to get too political or, weird on you, but, I'm a big proponent of using your brain and, making your own decisions, being your own person and making decisions based on your analysis, not what somebody tells you to do. So I would just make sure that I was never afraid to do the right thing, even if it wasn't going to be popular, even if that means my friends, my family, because sometimes the right thing doesn't win you all the friends, doesn't win you all the accolades, but at least at the very end, you get to sleep at night. And
Yeah.
that's I put a very I put a lot of importance on that. And also, I would remind myself to make sure, and I guess that would have been 1999, to make sure in like August of 1999 that I showed up in Beverly Hills at my friend's office because that's where I met my wife, and I wouldn't want to fuck that up.
Yeah.
So you'd never be afraid to do the right thing even when it's not popular, and make sure you're in Beverly Hills in 1999 to meet your future wife because that's probably the best day.
Oh
So
my
there you
God.
go.
I'm so glad you said that and you didn't say, "Hey Mitchell, if Keith Reza asks you to do his podcast,
Just say no.
say no."
He has last name issues. He can't watch himself. I don't know what to do. He called me Mitch, which I was totally cool with.
Mitchell, I do have one more quick favor
Go
for
for
you
it. Go for
for
it.
you.
Yes.
It is Christmas and my mom is a huge My Cousin Vinny fan, so I was wondering if you could just say Merry Christmas, Keith's mom.
Hey, I just want to give a huge. What's your mom's name?
Her name's Jill.
Hey, Jill, Keith's mom, Jill. I wanted to wish you a very, very, very Merry Christmas. Have a wonderful holiday. And just remember, whenever I see Keith, I'm going to stand up and say, I want him. See what I did there? See how I incorporated a line from the movie just for you, Jill? Happy holidays.
Ah, well, thank you, Mitchell.
You're
And
welcome.
where can the folks at home follow and support you? You got social media, something like that?
Yeah, I do. It's like I had never self promote stuff. I mean, I'm what am I? Mitchell underscore Whitfield, Instagram, and I guess the Twitter and all that stuff. I call it the Twitter still because it makes me giggle. Yeah, I mean, you could find me. I'm there. You just scroll and it's social media. It's not that many people are impersonating me. That's fine. That's good. I never got so big that people impersonate me on social media and say horrible, racist, disgusting things. It's
Yeah.
actually, I think most of my stuff out there is
Dodged a
actually me.
bullet.
I really, I dodged a bullet not becoming incredibly famous, right? Just mid-range famous. That's the way to go.
Yeah.
Mid-range famous is the way to be. You could still go out to dinner at night. You know,
Yeah.
you could still have your own social media, but don't be surprised. Listen, I think a lot of people expect on social media for me to be talking about acting and, whether it's on camera or voiceover stuff, which I've been doing a lot of lately with the Disney shows. I mostly talk about like board games, video games, traveling to New York to see my New York Rangers play with my son. So just be prepared. It's not going to be mostly acting stuff. Every once in a while, I'll put a little acting thing in there. For the most part, it's just like the things in life that give me joy, like board games, family, and friends stuff. So yeah, there you
Uh,
go. I'm a terrible promoter for acting. There you go.
well, Mitchell, thank you so much for saying yes. This was a real honor. And, I would love to have you again in the future. I think we have a good vibe. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. First of all, thank you for having me. I'm very appreciative that you wanted to talk. I hope, I didn't disappoint you.
No,
And yes, a year from now, we will do this again. I feel like a year from now, if you're not seeing anyone, we will meet at the Empire State Building and they'll be wearing a ribbon. So a year from now, we're going to do this again. And you have to tell me how much of Fringe you were able to consume. And if you were, did you steamroll through the whole series? Because I'm telling you,
I'm going to
especially after our
watch it.
conversation, you've got to watch
I'm going
Fringe,
to.
Fringe, Fringe.
I'm gonna X you or Twitter you, whatever.
Whatever you want. You can
Yeah.
email me. Just email me. It's fine.
All right. Well, thanks, Mitchell. Have a wonderful day, and I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate you. Thank you so
Thank you. I
much.
appreciate you too.
All right. Thank you so much.
Bye.
All right, guys. That was the episode. Subscribe, rate, review, and we'll see you guys next week on Reza Rifts.